We are tracking a 9,000-year progression. On one end, the mud huts of Mehrgar. On the other, the ignition of a rocket engine pushing a lunar lander toward the south pole of the moon. Most ancient superpowers followed a specific pattern. Civilizations like Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Rome spiked in power, reached an apex, and eventually collapsed. They hit zero on the timeline and remained there. The trajectory of the Indian subcontinent contradicts this. It contains deep valleys marking periods of extreme devastation, but these are followed by surges to new heights. Understanding the modern state requires studying this specific pattern of civilizational resilience. The foundations of this stability appear along the Indus River. 3,000 years before the Common Era, this society built cities on precise grid systems, using standardized baked bricks to maintain infrastructure across thousands of kilometers. After the Indus cities were abandoned due to shifting climates, the population moved east into the Iron Age. This era culminated in the Mauryan Empire, where Emperor Ashoka famously turned from a campaign of conquest to an empire-wide focus on Buddhist principles of peace. This stability allowed for an intellectual peak during the Gupta Empire. Scholars like Aryabhata proposed that the Earth was spherical and rotated on its axis. They defined the mathematical concept of zero, providing the necessary architecture for advanced calculations. These discoveries were centralized at Nalanda University. It was a global hub for knowledge, housing 10,000 students and massive libraries of scientific research. This era established a spiritual and intellectual baseline that was rooted deeply enough to survive the centuries of conflict that followed. The civilization faced a massive collapse when foreign invaders targeted its intellectual core. In the late 12th century, Bakhtiyar Khilji's forces burned the Nalanda library. The collection was so vast it smoldered for 3 months, turning centuries of astronomical and medical research into ash. Foreign subjugation was often accelerated by internal betrayal. Local rulers, like Chandra, formed alliances with invaders to settle domestic scores, which frequently provided the catalyst for long-term foreign rule. By the height of the Mughal Empire, the subcontinent held immense physical wealth. We see it in the marble symmetry of the Taj Mahal, but this architectural opulence was built on a system of heavy taxation that left the local peasantry in deep poverty. Resistance emerged from these conditions. In the Sahyadri Hills, Shivaji Maharaj pioneered guerrilla tactics to challenge the Mughal armies, launching the Maratha Empire's fight for self-rule. These localized resistance movements preserved the core identity of the civilization, even during periods of extreme political and physical loss. The next occupation arrived as a commercial entity, the British East India Company. They utilized divide-and-rule strategies to dismantle local industry and move India's wealth into the British Empire. The 20th century freedom struggle relied on 2 different strategies. Mahatma Gandhi organized millions into nonviolent resistance, using mass boycotts to challenge the economic basis of British rule. Simultaneously, Subhas Chandra Bose led an armed revolutionary movement. He built the Indian National Army to challenge British control through direct military action. Independence in 1947 arrived with a fracture. The hastily drawn borders of partition split the subcontinent, causing a chaotic refugee crisis and the displacement of millions of families. Outlasting the British Empire demonstrated that the civilization could not be permanently dismantled, though it began its modern era impoverished and divided. The first challenge for the new republic was preventing total fragmentation. Sardar Patel unified 562 separate princely states, integrating them into a single cohesive sovereign map. This unified state moved to secure its borders and project regional power. The 1971 victory resulted in the surrender of over 93,000 troops and shifted the geopolitical balance of South Asia. India further asserted its independence by conducting nuclear tests at Pokhran. These detonations demonstrated that the nation would no longer operate under the threat of foreign superpowers. This technological ascent continued into space. The same country that once transported rocket parts on bicycles has now achieved successful lunar landings and established a global space program. 11,000 years of history suggests this is more than a surviving nation-state.
it is a civilization with a recurring and inevitable capacity for rebirth.
Welcome to the Myth Story channel. Like, comment, and share, and be sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications for more.